What's going on, guys? FadeitLuie here, bringing you guys a brand new video. We're gonna be doing a high fade on my boy, so stay tuned. We're gonna be starting off by debulking the top with the 3 guard all the way closed. This is gonna be a high fade, but we also are gonna leave the C cups. Now that we're done debulking the top, we can move on to our gold FX and create our first guideline. You always want to make sure you contour this guideline to the head shape. This is so that the fade could flow better. Don't be afraid to stretch the ear, especially when you're balding them out. Now that we're done balding them out, we can move on to our no guard all the way open and create our second guideline. You want to make sure you make this guideline around 1 inch thick so you can spread the blend. We're then going to close the lever midway and all the way close and attack that initial guideline. Don't forget to use your opposite hands to stretch the skin to give you more space to blend. Now that we're done erasing that initial guideline, we can move on to our 1 guard all the way open and create our third guideline. We are going to use the same guard and the lever to soften up this line and get ready for the half guard. Now that we're done softening up the line with the 1 guard, we can move on to the half guard and erase the line completely. Make sure to use your corners and stretch your skin so you can have more space. I hope you guys are enjoying the video. Please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. It's greatly appreciated, man. It means a lot to me, man. Thank you. Now that we're done with our lower guards, we can move on to our 2 guard all the way open and create our 4th guideline. This is going to help us blend into the 3 guard on top and also get ready for our 1.5 guard. Now that we're done softening up the line with the 2 guard, we can move on to the 1.5 guard and erase the line completely. Now we're going back to our 2 guard all the way open and we're making sure that we debulk the sides, especially around the parietal ridge. Again, this guard is going to help us blend into the 3 guard on top. Now I'm just detailing as much as possible with my previous guards, and I'm also whipping out my clipper with a comb just to take out a few dark spots that I see. When you're having trouble blending between the half guard and the one guard, using your no guard all the way open and keeping it at a 90-degree angle using the raking technique will definitely help you blend between those two lengths. Moving on to the back, we're using our no guard all the way open to create our second guideline. You want to make sure you make this guideline around 1 inch thick, especially when you're near the occipital bone, because you want to make sure you spread the blend. We're also using the lever midway and all the way closed to attack that initial guideline and erase the line completely. Now that we're done erasing our initial guideline, we can move on to our one guard all the way open and create our third guideline. We are right on top of the occipital bone, so you want to make sure you detail as much as possible here. Now that we're done softening up the line with the one guard, we can move on to the half guard and erase the line completely. Again, we are right on top of the occipital bone, so you make sure you detail. You want to make sure on the back left side and the back right side that your fade connects properly, because if not, then it won't look right. You can't have a fade that the sides and the back look disconnected. We're now using our 2 guard all the way open to create our 4th guideline. This is going to help us blend into the 3 guard on top and also get ready for our 1.5 guard. Now that the line is soft enough, we're moving on to our 1.5 guard and erase the line completely. Here I'm using my 1 guard all the way open and my half guard. Now I'm using my 3 guard all the way closed just to make sure everything's nice and even. Now I'm putting even more detail into the back using my 1.5 guard all the way open, because I still see a faint line, especially when you're done using the 2 guard all the way open. Moving on to the beard, we're going to chop it down to a 3 guard all the way closed. Before we line up the beard, we're going to go ahead and line up his hairline just so I could get a good reference line, especially near the C cups. We're starting off in the middle and working our way to the sides, especially when they're light in the middle. I always like starting off in the middle. It gives me a good reference point. When I line up my C-cups, I always start off at the bottom and work my way to the top, and I'm always using the edge of the trimmers. You always want to make sure to go as slow as possible and make sure the hair feeds into the teeth of the trimmer, because if not, then you won't line them up properly and the hair is going to shift. Always try your best to keep the corners natural, especially the vertical bars. You don't want to push that too in and make it too pointy. You also don't want to press too hard because the trimmers could be very hot and it could cut them. When lining up the mustache, you want to make sure you're very delicate because you could bite them with the teeth of the trimmer. Now we're moving on to fading their sideburns, and I'm using my no guard all the way open and the lever to blend out the initial guideline. Then I'm moving on to my 1 guard all the way open and then my 1.5 guard all the way open. Now that we're done with the beard, we're going to move on to our Turkish Razor and Derby Premium blades, and we're going to make them as crispy as possible. But before we do that, we're going to apply some shave gel and use our hot towel to make the follicles as soft as possible and make the blade glide as easy as it can. When using your hot towels, you want to make sure it's not too hot because you can burn them. Again, I hope you guys are enjoying the video. Please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. It's greatly appreciated. Also, if you made it this far into the video, leave a comment down below of my subscriber count. This is just to make sure you guys are paying attention. And I'm 100% gonna reply to it. What's going on, guys? FadeitLuie here, bringing you guys a brand new video. We're gonna be doing a mid-taper on my boy, so stay tuned. We're gonna be starting off by debulking the sides with the 3 guard all the way closed. This is a disconnected undercut, so we're gonna make sure the size is nice and even, and then we're gonna taper up the sideburns. Now that we're done debulking the sides, we can move on to the back taper and use our baby Let's Go to effects to create our first guideline. Don't forget to use your opposite hand to stretch the skin when balling out. Now that we're done balding them out, we can move on to our no guard all the way open and create our second guideline. You want to make sure you make this guideline around 1 inch thick so you can spread the blend. Again, don't forget to stretch the skin with your opposite hand to give you more room to blend. Now we're slightly closing the lever midway and all the way closed and attacking that initial guideline. Now that we're done erasing our initial guideline, we can move on to our 1 guard all the way open and create our third guideline. We're going to use this same guard and the lever to soften up the line and get it ready for the half guard. We are right on top of the occipital bone, so you want to make sure you detail as much as possible here. Now that we're done softening up the line with the 1 guard, we can move on to the half guard and erase the line completely. Moving on to our 2 guard all the way open, this is going to help us blend into the 3 that we debulked the sides with, and also it's going to help us use our 1.5 guard. We're going to again use this same guard and the lever to soften up the line and get it ready for the 1.5 guard. I hope you guys are enjoying the video. Please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. It's greatly appreciated, man. Thank you. Here I'm using the 1.5 guard to erase the line completely, and then also sometimes there's still a faint line after using the 1.5 guard, so switching over to your 1 guard all the way open and using its corners will definitely help. Especially when you're near the occipital bone, you always want to detail as much as possible. Here I'm using the 3 guard all the way closed, and I'm making sure everything's nice and even. It's always best to detail after you're done. I'm using my no guard all the way open and its corners to detail as much as possible. Now that we're done detailing, we can move on to our T outliners and line up the neck. I always start off at the bottom and work my way to the top arch. I feel like it solidifies a straight line and helps me guide it through the other side of the ear. You want to make sure not to press too hard in this area because you could bite them with the teeth of the trimmer. Moving on to the side taper, we're going to use our T outliners to create our first guideline and bald out the sideburn. Now that we're done botting them out, we can move on to our no guard all the way open and create our second guideline. We're then going to close the lever all the way and midway to help us erase that initial guideline. Now that we're done erasing our initial guideline, we can move on to our one guard all the way open and create our third guideline. Always make sure to use the corners of the clipper, especially when you're doing a mid-taper. Now that we're done softening up the line with the one guard, we can move on to the half guard and erase the line completely. Now that we're done with the lower guards, we can move on to our two guard all the way open and create our fourth guideline. This is going to help us blend into the three that we debulked the sides with, and then also is going to help us use our 1.5 guard. As you can see, now we're using our 1.5 guard to connect the whole taper and erase the line. Again, sometimes there's still a faint line after using your 1.5 guard, so switching over to your one guard all the way open and using his corners would definitely help. Now that we're done with the taper, we can move back to our lineup. It's always best to detail after you're done. Moving on to the C cup, we're going to start off at the bottom and work our way to the top arch using our T outliners. You want to make sure you use your corners and go as slow as possible, making sure that the hair feeds into the teeth of the trimmer. Man, comment down below if you think that lineup is crispy. Now we're moving on to the sideburns and we're using our no guard all the way open to create our second guideline. After we were done going with the grain, we moved on to our T outliners and lined up in front of the ear. Here I'm detailing as much as possible with my no guard all the way open. If they want their mustache knocked down and they're not sure what length, I always knock it down to a one guard all the way open because it's always the dentist area. You want to be very gentle when lining up the mustache, especially when you're using your trimmers. Before we line up his hairline, we're going to make sure we debulk everything with the 1.5 guard all the way open. Now that we're done debulking everything, we can start off in the middle and work our way to the sides with our T outliners. You always want to make sure you keep the vertical bars and corners as natural as possible. Make sure not to push them too in. Now that we're done lining them up, we can move on to the beard and we're going to use our gammas to make it as crispy as possible. This is easier to use the gammas and shape the beard because with the trimmers, the hair doesn't really feed into the teeth properly. So with the gammas, since they're stronger, it cuts the hair and shapes the beard a lot easier. So now that I got most of the bulk out of the way, I can switch over to my NST outliners and detail it. Now that we're done with the beard, we can move on to our Turkish razor and Durban premium blades, and we're gonna make them as crispy as possible. But before we do that, we're gonna apply some shave gel so that the razor could glide better. When you're using your razor, you want to stretch the skin as much as possible with your opposite hand and keep the razor at a 45-degree angle so you have a lesser chance of cutting someone. Always make sure you go against the grain on the cheeks, especially if they can take it. If they can't, then don't do it. That can lead to ingrown hairs and scar tissue, so make sure you be careful. We're also going to clean up his eyebrows. You always want to keep them as natural as possible without sacrificing any crispiness. And then also you don't want to arch them too much because he is a guy. Again, I hope you guys are enjoying the video. Please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. It's greatly appreciated. Also, if you made it this far into the video, leave a comment down below of my subscriber count. Let's see who's really paying attention.